The people that say it can't be done have to get out of the way of the people who are doing it. And that's kind of how I would sum up Drew.
They're still my legs. I don't hate them for being a part of me. They're me. I wouldn't trade that for anything, for having this experience and being able to go through this with everyone involved.
By the time he was 2.5, we noticed he didn't have the balance of his peers or what his older brother had had at that age, so he fell a lot. And when he fell, he'd always pop up and say, that was a trick. That was a trick.
That was a trick. It's always a trick. We've been to 6 major hospitals. My favorite doctor response ever is,
this is fascinating.
This is fascinating. I mean, and you're like, that sucks. I don't like that answer. Please give me a different answer that's not that.
It was so frustrating seeing how they were able to do so much for everyone. And when they saw me, they were stumped.
His feet were curled in. We had some pretty significant surgeries where they tried to straighten them, and within 2 months, right back. Because nobody knows what he has, we didn't know if amputation was even a possibility.
Typically, amputation is looked at as end of the road, when for us it's usually looked at as the beginning of new options.
Meeting Aaron was a game changer, showing us all these people who've been through different things, making sure I really understood everything about it.
He had not been able to walk in about 6 years, so he had been in a wheelchair for 6 years. So there were a lot of unknowns when we first started.
First time we met Aaron Fitzsimmons and Amputee Blade Runners, he looks at Drew and he's like, well, we need to do this analysis and we need to do this analysis. And we were like, well, but what do you think? And he's like, for sure, like he would be an amazing candidate.
Our thought process is almost always longitudinal, so not where do we want to be in 3 months, but where do we want to be in 30 years. What we recommended for Drew was bilateral disarticulations.
He had surgery August 10th, and November 12th, he got his first pair of legs.
Yeah.
And he walked out of ABR that day.
So post-amputation,
You got it.
the thing they don't tell you about is phantom pain.
The phantom pain.
There's nothing quite like it. And so what we heard from Drew was like revelation and negotiating with God in the middle of the night, like trying to figure out like how to get out of this pain.
It was horrific.
So the longer your body goes with its intact nerve connections, the more it's used to that feedback loop. And when you take the feedback loop away, at 9 months old, they reorganize and you don't know any different if you have an amputation as a young child. As in, when you're older, those nerve pathways are more fully baked and they get really confused when you have an amputation. So he dealt with a tremendous amount of post-op pain.
A 1.5 years post-amputation was the turning point. He got a job, he has a girlfriend, he got his driver's license.
The way I drive is a little unique. I use left foot accelerator. I was able to do so much more by myself, and I was able to go see friends more, get my own job, start making money.
You just never know with Drew, so I said, would you want to try and do Paralympic sports? And he was all in on that.
All I wanted to do was the bare minimum, and hearing that I could do so much more was such a new motivation in my life. I train, I run, I do all these new things that I never thought I'd be doing.
He's probably made the biggest turnaround I've personally ever seen in about 25 years, from what I would consider near complete immobility to the most mobility you could have.
The ABR community is amazing at helping you find that path. What they have created from a community standpoint is amazing.
I think Drew was sort of made for where he needs to be, and I think there's probably a big purpose behind that I think Drew will continue to unpack for the rest of his life.